I took a drive this past spring. Anemoia is the nostalgia for a time one has never known, which is oddly incongruent for someone who lived during a time but didn't live the life representative of that time. Maybe a longing for never actually consummating desire, place, time. As I drove past cities, I was on my way back to California and traveled roads I'd driven countless times. I realized the fate of those empty buildings and dead and forgotten people I once knew. This was my drive back to California, and I stopped here in Flagstaff, and this is an old place where I used to work. I briefly lived here. It was a kind of nostalgia, and it's an artistic moment. Mostly I drove back for inspiration and the recollection of forgotten ideas, especially as an artist seeking inspiration. Phenomenological existentialism. There's a lot of philosophers who looked into that. Anyhow, aimed at the incongruity of time and place as we age and travel through life, we eventually run head on with the liminal empty spaces of time that evaporate the moments in time. As an artist, as a retrospective artist's vantage, it was an eerie displacement. All these old buildings. God, I was so shocked to see this mall, and it's still there in that theater. This used to be a theater. It was an eerie displacement. This reality. It's part of my past, and it lingers. In my thoughts. All the way into this present journey. I remember the sounds and the sights, that lingering music, that bygone, do you remember the vaporwave? It's that commercial upbeat 80s electrical satirical self-admiration of gaudy styles, the hair, the clothes, and the embarrassing lingo that defined that moment in time. I didn't do that. I wasn't that cool. But, there's an inherent afterglow of what was once so promising. It was alive, but its purpose is only a lingering memory of generations' nostalgia. Inspiration for creative fuel is kind of like reanimating something dead. Should inspiration stem from our past, does it create future insights? I don't know. But I know it's something a lot of people are fascinated with. And just looking at these old buildings here, I had memories of these guys jumping off that mountain there, and not to commit suicide. They were paragliders, but those memories, they bring back inspiration. That's all I was looking for. It can get kind of deep, but ultimately, it is just to look at memories.